Seeing and hearing how others improve and grow is part of the process of increasing your own sales. Each week, Eric Lofholm interviews one of his students to showcase their success and the significant impact it's had on their life. Learn how people just like you have applied what they've learned in Eric's course and the success they've experienced as a result. This is the CSI Case Study Podcast with Eric Lofholm.
Hi, this is Eric Lofholm. I want to welcome all of you to the Continuous Sales Improvement Case Study Podcast. And I have another great guest today. I'm joined by my great client and friend, John Anderson. John, how are you today?
Doing great. Looking forward to it. Good to be here, and thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Well, John, tell everybody, where do you live and what do you do? What's your career?
Well, we've been in Tulsa, Oklahoma for 15 years now, and I'm a franchise broker / consultant, franchise owner. We own a couple of different franchises, and I help people get into owning their own franchise businesses as well.
Fantastic. And tell everybody how long we've known each other. It goes back to, I think, 2001, correct?
That's right. We met, you came into my mortgage business at the time, my mortgage company about, it must have been 2 or 3 weeks before 9/11. And that's how I always remember it. And then you had a big sales training event out by LAX just a few days after 9/11. It was kind of a somber day.
Yeah, absolutely. You're one of my clients I've had the longest. We've had a 20-year run, which is just really awesome. And I know you've had different things that you've learned from me through the years that have helped you. What are a couple of things that stand out to you that have helped you in learning from me through the years?
Well, I would say all of your stuff, whether it's in-person meetings, phone trainings, of course, recorded stuff, books, tapes, it goes back to the old days, is awesome. But I always got the biggest benefit out of our one-on-one work together. And it really helped me focus on connecting my short-term actions to my long-term goals and being accountable and all of the cliche things that go along with that, and not to meaning that the coaching is cliche, but it really did work for me, both in mortgage business and more recently as a franchise consultant.
Yeah. One thing that really stands out to me about you is when we would come together on calls and you would say, all right, this is what I want to accomplish. And then we would talk through what the plan was, whether it was working on a script or getting your book done or doing email marketing, these different things that we've worked on. You were really good at execution. Once you had the clear goal in mind, you had the clear plan, and then you had your marching orders and you just went out and did it. And I know one of the things that we've worked on is building your online brand. And years ago, as a sales professional, business professional, the online brand wasn't really all that important. I mean, when you were a loan officer, you probably weren't thinking about building your brand online. You just did what you did. And nowadays, we all have a footprint online. And so we talked about, publishing content and, doing videos. And these were very new ways of thinking. And you really embraced that, not only embraced it, but took action. Could you just talk about in your business how building that brand is helpful on the lead generation side? Could you just speak a little bit about that?
Well, it's huge because, so we worked together a lot for 5 or 6 years and I still remember this, used to use the word manifest, and I didn't even know what that was in 2001. But it was all around the ability to get clear on where I wanted to be. And as I focused on that, the other stuff just kind of came together. We didn't actually, focus as much on the action items until we really got clear on where we want to be. Mm-hmm. And And so, that stayed with me for a long time. Now, more recently, the last 5 years that we've been working together in the franchise broker world, it's all, I hadn't gotten started in this business maybe 6 months when I grew incredibly frustrated with the lead generation protocols. It's like, here's your training, here's how you get business. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way, because it's all focused on these companies that advertise online, and people start clicking buttons, and then they sell these people to me to talk to. And many of them really aren't interested. Many of them then get sold off to 5 or 10 different brokers. And it's just an incredibly, and it's expensive. These you can easily be spending $4,000 or $5,000 a month on these what I figured garbage leads. So when I approached you for help, we very quickly focused our meetings and coaching on building a brand and that content strategy online. Whether it's email-based, web-based, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of those different approaches.
Yeah, and I was always encouraging to go in that direction, because when I look at business, I think in terms of vision. And so it's like, all right, we want to get good results this year, but where do we ultimately want to go? And if you can build an online brand and nurture these leads, they might not buy this year, but maybe next year or the year after. And if you're the one that's creating the content, they're going to become more familiar with you. And I know that you did my book in a day class.
Right.
And, you're one of my success stories, because what you got the book done. And just speak a little bit about that process and what happened with your book.
Yeah, well, as we developed the content strategy, we came up with half a dozen ideas, probably more. This is 4 or 5 years ago now. I guess probably about 4 years ago. And your wisdom to focus on one at a time was fruitful. And so we zeroed in on the book. And it's something I thought, I had a lot of material. It was all, let's compile it. And so I signed up for your next one that was coming up. I know you do 3 or 4 of them a year. I think at least you did at one point. Mm-hmm. And, because I'm like, a book in a day, come on, really? You really gonna be able to do that? And while it wasn't, I would tell you, and anybody watching, I probably got 75, 80% of it done in the day. I know there's some homework coming in, and I was pretty prepared. So I had a lot of stuff put together, and we spent about 8 hours with, I don't remember how many people. I think there's hundreds of people typically on those webinars. And it's exciting. You've got the Facebook chat going at the same time, and everybody's putting their ideas out there. And so not only are you learning from you're learning from everybody else. And within probably 2 weeks after that, with just a little bit of guidance from you on, where to get the cover done, how to get it formatted, and of course, proofread and finished off the content. I was on Amazon in my niche category of small business franchising. I was actually the bestseller for several weeks. So that was kind of cool too.
Yeah. You became a #1 Amazon bestseller. You got the book published. Yeah. And then you also did what I advised. You created your own author page.
Yep.
So, people look you up on Amazon. It's kind of like having a Facebook profile, but it's on Amazon, which is the only way to get that is to write a book. And then you told me about a story of a gentleman who bought your book and then reached out to you, and then you had success of them becoming a client. Can you share that story? It's a really great one.
Absolutely. And, I've had a couple of people. I mean, I'll be honest, I do use it more as a outbound tool to help people as they're doing the franchise research process. But by getting it published on Amazon and having a presence there, this gentleman happened to be an airline pilot who was retiring. I think he had already retired, was looking at franchising as a way to, launch his next career, and bought my book. Through the book, there's an assessment people can take, and it's very clear in there. So he did that, and we initiated a dialogue based on that. And he ended up buying a franchise, moving down to Tampa, Florida, and and has, so he's been open a couple of years now, doing well.
Fantastic. So, and the way I teach the strategy, to your point, it's really you write the book and you use it to prospect people. You use it as part of your sales process. It's not like all these people are rushing to Amazon to buy your book, right. But he happened to buy your book, contacted you, and then you ended up getting a client that way, which is
absolutely,
which is great. And we worked on, an overall strategy. It wasn't just the book. It was a YouTube channel. It was email marketing. It was, webinars. It was recording content. And so, when I was introducing those ideas to you and saying, "Hey, John, I want you to publish content," was that easy for you to embrace, or was it pretty much out of your comfort zone? What was your thinking as I was presenting these ideas?
Well, it was both. It was certainly easy to embrace because I was looking for, how can I go from essentially being a telemarketer with leads coming in and trying to be the first guy to talk to them and all that stuff to becoming a brand that people were seeking me out. And so that's exactly what I was looking for, but it was way out of my comfort zone. I mean, the next thing we did after the book was we talked about, a webinar concept, and I did one with your help, and I've done a couple more. Honestly, I haven't followed up on that as much. But the podcasting, the same thing, something that you had suggested. Look, let's take the book, even if you don't do anything different, you've got 21 chapters plus some addendums, there's at least 21 podcasts, right? And so I have that. I mean, so I have all these materials now, and really the YouTube channel and starting to embrace video more has been the more recent approach, and YouTube and LinkedIn together.
Yeah. And I'm on your email list. And so
right.
I get your emails, and I love it when I get your emails, and sometimes you have the YouTube videos inside of the emails. And so was email marketing, is that a new thing that you started after we were coaching, or is this something you've always done? Talk about the email marketing piece.
It's always something I should have done, but one of the benefits, I guess, to the money spent on the portals and the lead generation is I've accumulated a pretty sizable email list. So even a lot of these people I never talked to and never went anywhere, I do have a database to market to, and was wasting it. So I still don't feel like my emails are very polished, but I did contract with the people who manage my database and website. They have a group that helps with that. So, that keeps me at least on a monthly basis. I've got something going out because they're talking to me on a month, okay, it's time to go. What are we doing? And, creating a marketing calendar and getting some things out. And I would say many months I'll do a second or third email too. I mean, I'd love to do once a week. I don't think that's too much, but I just don't get to them all.
Yeah. Well, one thing that might be interesting is to once a month, or maybe every other month, do a webinar and just send it out to email lists. And, you might only get 3 or 4 people that show up, but 3 or 4 people, it only takes one, to make a sale. And that might get you even more comfortable with the webinars. On the video side, talk to me about video. Is video something that comes easy to you? Is it hard to do it? Because you're doing it, which is great. So what's your mindset about video?
It certainly doesn't come easy. But as you can see, I spent, this was less than $100, maybe 150 with the frame to have the kind of press briefing backdrop made of my brand. And this was a couple years old before everybody got comfortable with Zoom and the Zoom backdrops and the filters where I can become a cat,
Right.
But, so, and I lost my train of thought there, but,
we're just talking about video and
right.
it being comfortable. And
well, see, there you go. So part of my problem is I kind of wander off on these tangents, but, I really like the video mechanism. The hardest part for me is the time blocking and say, hey, all right, I'm going to do it here. So some of the best success I've had has been setting up people to interview, much like this, because we both have to agree on a time. I have to be prepared, set it up. And so I've been doing some of that. And in many ways, if I was to schedule them as a LinkedIn Live or Facebook Live or something, or just as a webinar format, you could call them a webinar. In the cases so far I've been doing, it's just a recorded, Zoom interview like this. But it's great material. I've gotten good feedback on it. And, the only thing you can do to get better is do them. And so that's kind of where my mindset is right now, is to recognize I'm not good at it, but I am getting better.
Yeah. And what's great is you've got the book done. You'll have it for life.
Mm-hmm.
You have the email list going now. It's going to keep growing. You're doing video, and as the years go by, more content gets created, increased confidence, bigger database.
Right.
And so there's the thing that I really love about what you're doing is there's a leverage to it. It's not just a one and done. There's a future value, especially to the content that you're recording and the email list that you're building.
Mm-hmm.
And you've just done a great job of essentially reinventing yourself to build a brand versus, selling, in this case, franchises. It's building a brand and successfully selling franchises. And there's a couple of types of people that are watching this. We have people that are in the protege community, so their clients already.
Uh-huh.
And so you've had a lot of success, with my teachings. And some proteges, they're just not really they're not engaged, right? They're not doing what I'm asking them to do, or they're not showing up for calls or whatever the case may be. Any advice you could give somebody who's already a client, but maybe they're not getting the results because they're not implementing, anything you could share with them?
Yeah, I think so there's a couple things. First is there's so much opportunity to improve. Don't get overwhelmed by where do you start. I think that's where you come in, is you engage, with you or one of your coaches and say, help me, and again, go back to where do you want to be? Where do you want to be in 12 months, 5 years? What's that end of the road vision, and get clear on that, and then engage you to help. How do we get there? And all right, like I'm sure on our first couple calls, as I was getting started in the franchise world, we came up with all this stuff in a brain dump. Okay, book, webinar, podcast. The list goes on. Email. What are you doing? But you can't do it all. Right? It's taken 4 years just to get to the point where I've done all of these different things. So
yeah,
I think that it's important to recognize. You have to know where you want to go, and you have to commit to it and be engaged. I don't know, in going back 20 years of coaching calls, there was ever one where you didn't show up or whatnot. I'm sure there was a few I had to miss or reschedule. So, you're going to be there for them. They got to commit to it and engage. And if they don't, how can they expect results if they're not doing the work?
Yeah. And you make a really great point. And, philosophically, I'm regularly going to, let's pick one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was a period of time when we were doing coaching calls, and all we were working on was your script.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd work a little bit on, okay, we're going to meet again in 2 weeks. All right, here's your assignment. Then we'll work. And so we weren't doing webinars and videos and all that stuff. Right. And then when we had your book going, it's like, We're just doing the book. And so this is where vision comes in, because if you have a vision, it's like, okay, I get the book done. All right, that project's done. All right, now I'm going to get my email marketing going. Maybe that's the second quarter project. Third quarter project, I'm going to get the YouTube video, going while I'm, maintaining, running my company. And so, that was, I think that's a key to success, is just, picking what is it that I'm going to take to the finish line. Because unfortunately, a lot of people do that book in a day class. They get it 80% done in the class, and they just don't take it to the finish line.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And you've done a great job of taking these products to the finish line, and now there's going to be a future value. The other type of person that's watching this, John, or listening to it, they're not a client yet. Maybe they're new to me, and they're like, who is Eric? And maybe they haven't heard me before, whatever the case may be. Could you just speak to that person? You've known me and been a client now for, it's 20 years. And so Can you speak to somebody that doesn't know me?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where to start. I mean, the number one thing I think is that you're going to be there and be on their team. You work with integrity. You're committed. They don't have to worry about you're not the latest car guy who became a sales coach and next year might be doing something different. You're going to be there for them. You've got support team. It's not just you if you need help. And so if you're in a situation where you're, again, kind of cliche, but trying to get to the next level, or maybe you're just trying to get off the ground, period. Particularly, I know your expertise, particularly as sales, if you're in that arena and we're all selling something, they can't go wrong by engaging you and your team to help with that.
Yeah. And I love that we have products and services that fit any budget. And our protege programs are lifetime memberships. So you pay one time, you're a lifetime member. And, John's been with me for almost my whole career. I started in 99 and, 2 years in is when we connected, and we've stayed connected all these years and still work on, as he needs me on products that he has. And so, John, I really, I appreciate you coming on and doing the interview so people can get from somebody who's been with me for all these years. And I'm so happy about the progress that you've made. And really the best is yet to come, because you've planted a lot of seed. In order to harvest, you have to plant the seed.
Yep.
So all the seed that you planted, you have gotten results, but there's even more greater results, like the email marketing, the future webinars, the future videos, the book, that's already done. All of that you have for the rest of your career. It's always great to spend time with you. So thanks so much for the time today.
Absolutely appreciate it. If I can help, if anybody would like to talk to me or anything, you know where to find me.
Fantastic. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching or listening. John, thanks for being my great friend and client. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this episode, make sure and subscribe to get notified of new episodes every week. Or if you're one of my students with a success story you'd like to share, send me an email at eric@ericlofholm.com. And maybe you'll be on my next episode. Until next time, keep on improving.